Shalom, this is Adasabat Saiwan, returning to the book of Revelation, chapter 6, part 2, and we're going to take a look at the woman and the dragon. Now, before we get started, we know that based on the previous studies that we have done, that we've looked at, one called the Beast of the Book of Revelation, and the next one is called the last 7 years of the end times, help us to put in chronological order the events that are coming, the end time events that are coming. Now, according to the studies that we've done, the woman who we know is the southern kingdom, we've done studies about that. She will be leaving the earth, or the southern kingdom will be leaving the earth after the fourth seal, before the fifth seal is open, because the fifth seal is given to the northern kingdom. That's their time of being martyred. All right? So she cannot leave after the fifth seal. She cannot leave after the sixth seal. She has to leave before the fifth seal is open. We know that the book of Revelation, we know the whole Bible is being tampered with, but especially the book of Revelation. Who put the book together? Who put the Bible together? Who claimed authority over the canon of our Bible? None other than the Catholic Church, the bishops of the Catholic Church. And who do they worship? Satan himself. But yet, we will have a hard time to believe that the book of Revelation is out of sync, out of order, out of chronological order. They couldn't put the seals, the seven seals, the seven trumpets, or the seven vials out of order because they are numbered. But the events that happened between these numbered judgments, they can play around with. Shift them here, shift them there. We know that they did the same thing with Matthew chapter 24, Mark chapter 13, and Luke chapter 17 and chapter 21. We know that they've moved around the sequence of events of the end times because they want us confused. They want us not to know what to expect, what is coming. They don't want us to know. They couldn't do away with the book because it is not in their power to destroy all the things that the Most High has given to us. It's not given them, it's not given to them to destroy all of the truth. A lot of our books they've stolen, destroyed, and what is left they've contaminated. Thankfully, we have Ruach HaKadosh, who is the Spirit of Truth, given to us by Hamashiach to guide us into all truth. And that's why we can look at the book of Revelation through the eyes of Ruach HaKadosh, with him revealing to us what is moved around and how to put it back in order. The woman and the dragon was taken from the book of Revelation in the Bible, chapter 12. We know she has to appear, or her event has to take place right after, well, not directly after, but after the fourth seal is open. Goes without saying. So it just shows you it is out of order. All right? Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to read through the entire chapter, and then we're going to go through the latter part of chapter 6, because the first part of chapter 6, which has to do with the four seals, and the last part of chapter 6 has to do with the woman and the dragon. And this is the first part of the the persecution of the woman and the dragon, because we know that we've been persecuted for a long time. And this dragon has been seeking to destroy our Messiah before he was born and even after he was born. But it didn't stop there. But we'll see, okay? Because this is the very first part of the woman and the dragon, introducing you to the southern kingdom and why the woman is the southern kingdom and not the 12 tribes of Yashrael. And she's certainly nothing else. She's not the church. She is the southern kingdom. All right, so let's get started. Revelation chapter 6, starting from verse 1. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder. One of the four beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, Come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see you hurt not the oil and the wine. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, Come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born, as soon as he was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto Allahayam, and to his throne. And there was war in heaven. Mayakaal and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceives the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of Allahayana, and the power of his Mashiach. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before Allahayana day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knows that he has but a short time. And that's the ending of chapter 6. Now, continuing on from chapter 6, part 1, the study that we've done, we see that there is a brief pause after the 4th seal, because the 5th seal has to do with the martyrdom of the northern kingdom, and this will be their time of judgment. This means that the southern kingdom will be taken before the 5th seal is opened and after the 4th seal is opened. We know that the 4th seal has already been opened, therefore this pause will be broken when the southern kingdom is regathered, meaning that the 5th seal will be opened. Now, all of this is covered in the series called The Last 7 Years of the End Times. Please, I would strongly suggest you go and watch this series, because it gives you a lot of information about the sequence of events that are coming in the last 7 years before the time is finished, before the world comes to an end. Time as we know it will come to an end. All right? This is the reason why the first part of chapter 12 in the Bible, the woman and the dragon, and the war in heaven, becomes the latter part of chapter 6, because it is the sequence of events that will be taking place. All right? This makes a coherent flow of the prophetic events that had been muddled through the wicked ones contaminating our Bible. When the 5th seal is opened, there will be a war waged against the northern kingdom by the NWO, Beast Empire, that's the technology-based empire, which they and the anti-Messiah will prevail against them, speaking of the northern kingdom, but not for long. That's 3.5 years. And this will be their time of martyrdom. So when this 5th seal is open, it will open at the point of time of the beginning of the last 7 years. The woman will already have been gone, meaning the southern kingdom would already been gone. The northern kingdom, because they're still asleep, they will be awakened to their identity, but they will be shaken to the core. All right? And part of that sifting of the northern kingdom is this war that is going to prevail against them. And this is where many of our northern kingdom brethren are going to be martyred. Martyrdom comes when a person acknowledges Elohim as their Elohim, and they seek to walk in his ways and his commandments, but they die. They die standing on their testimony of Elohim. They die believing. They die because they refuse the evil doctrines, the wickedness that is placed before them, a choice. Choose to live by serving the devil, or choose death if you choose to worship Elohim. Many of our brethren will die because they're going to choose to worship Elohim. And this is the war that the saints are going to be prevailed against. They're going to lose the war. In other words, many of our northern kingdom brethren will die. But they will not die in vain, because they will die in righteousness, and they will return to the earth at the end of the age. So that's why I'm saying, when the 5th seal is open, we're long gone. The southern kingdom is long gone. So this is the appropriate place for the woman to come into the picture, not chapter 12. Not chapter 12. Okay. Now let us take a careful look at the woman with the 12 stars upon her head. So we're going to go back to verse 9. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered. Now, just like the assembly of Philadelphia, which we looked at in a previous study, this woman is symbolic of the southern kingdom. Please do not be thrown off the path by the 12 stars. And certainly do not use astronomy to understand this vision. Many Christians, and even some of our brethren, are looking to the stars to understand this woman birthing the man-child. As if Yawachanan was studying the stars. He was not studying the stars. He was taken to heaven. And what was revealed to him was imagery, prophetic imagery of what had happened in the past and what will be happening in the future. But when you are not in the truth, when Ruach HaKodesh, who is the Spirit of truth, is not guiding you and revealing the truth to you, you will have to resort to astronomy to understand prophecy. It is divination to do this. And that's what a lot of people are claiming. Oh, this has taken place in September, whatever year it was. Right? This has already taken place when you look at the stars and the alignment of the stars. That's divination. All right. Okay. Yawachanan was shown the past so that the future can be revealed. Sometimes the prophecy of Allah Hayam takes us into the past in a flash and then to the future. And it is for this reason why we need Ruach, HaRuach, the Spirit, to guide us into understanding all prophecies. We can only unravel the prophecies to understand them by the revelation of Ruach HaKodesh. There's no other way. You cannot use a dictionary. You cannot use concordance. You can't use all of those external means in order to understand something that is divine in its nature, spiritual in its nature. You need HaRuach, who is the Spirit, to reveal the spiritual meaning of His Word. Anything else that you gather from any other source is divination and demonic. All right? And a lot of our people, they're looking for other sources to gather the truth, to find the revelation of what is being spoken or what had been spoken through the prophets. Yawachanan was seeing a vision of a woman symbolic of the southern kingdom, as the child she gave birth to is none other than Hamashiach. Sorry about that banging in the background. That is my neighbor. So sorry about that, if you can hear it. So let me read that again. Yawachanan was seeing a vision of a woman symbolic of the southern kingdom, as the child she gave birth to is none other than Hamashiach. Hamashiach came through the lineage of Yahweh, who is the southern kingdom. That goes without saying. The southern kingdom was the only kingdom in our land at the time of the birth of Hamashiach. He came through the southern kingdom. And specifically, he came through the tribe of Yahweh. That's why he is called the Lion of the tribe of Yahweh, the offspring of Dawad. All right? The root and offspring of Dawad. Therefore, and we know Dawad, he came out of the lineage of Yahawada. And he was king over the southern kingdom. He was king over the tribe of Yahawada before he became king over the full 12 tribes. We know this. Therefore, the woman is symbolic of that kingdom of people. And furthermore, the birthing of the child further clarifies and confirms which of the two kingdoms of the divided 12 tribes he was seeing, and it had to be the southern kingdom. Because the kingdoms, the 12 tribes were divided when Hamashiach came. The northern kingdom was long gone. All right? Now the woman was clothed with the sun, which is symbolic of being robed in the glory of Alahayam. Yet at the same time, when we look deeper at the word sun, it means Hareo, chosen or elect. The southern kingdom was chosen to be the tribe through which Hamashiach, the son of Alahayam, would enter this world to be king over Yashraal forever. So the southern kingdom, they were chosen. The tribe of Yahawada was chosen to be the tribe to bring forth the king of Yashraal. 1 Chronicles chapter 5 verse 1. Now the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Yashraal, for he was the firstborn, but for as much as he defiled his father's bed, his birthright was given unto the sons of Yawasap. Yawasap is Joseph. So the sons of Yawasap we know is Manasseh and Ephraim. And what did Reuben do? He tried to lie with his father's concubine. And it was told to Yaakov. And so Reuben, who was the firstborn, was removed from being the firstborn, and his inheritance was given, his birthright of the firstborn was given to the sons of Yawasap. And the genealogy is not to be reckoned after the birthright. So technically the birthright, whoever held the birthright, meant that they were to inherit the bulk of the father's possessions and to be the leader of the brethren, the family, the head of the family. But in this case, it was not so. Even though Yawasap, the sons of Yawasap, was given the birthright, verse 2, for Yahawada prevailed above his brethren, and of him came the chief ruler. But the birthright was Yawasap's. All right. So Yahawada, who we know is Judah, prevailed even above Yawasap and the sons of Yawasap. Why? Because Dawad, who became the king over Yashraal, was the chief ruler temporarily, but there was coming one from his lineage to become the chief ruler, the king eternally, and that is Hamashiach. It was Dawad that became the chief ruler temporarily, but later on Hamashiach, who was of the lineage of Dawad, became our chief ruler eternally. The moon under her feet is signifying the feast days that are very important to Yashraal. The feast days are our prophetic landmarks, which point us to our Mashiach, to the regathering of his 12 tribes, the season of their regathering, and his eternal reign on the earth. So all the different symbolism that he saw, the woman, the 12 stars, which are symbolic of the 12 tribes, the woman herself being the southern kingdom, the sun being the speaks of the glory of Alahayam, and also at the same time that she was chosen, she was elected to be the one through which the son of Alahayam came on this earth. And then the moon is symbolic of the feast days. And we know the feast days point us to who? Hamashiach. It also points us to the regathering of his 12 tribes and to the season when we will be regathered, and of course his eternal reign on the earth, which is all part of the festivals. Now the crown of the 12 stars may have caused many to stumble into error, thinking that the woman is all of Yashua. The 12 stars help us to identify that she is of Yashua, as the 12 stars are symbolic of the 12 tribes. The southern kingdom is made up of the 2.5 tribes, Yahawada, Banaya, Mayam, and half of Lawai, while the northern kingdom is made up of 9.5 tribes. Those are the two kingdoms. And we've been separated for a very long time now, and we will remain separated until the day Hamashiach brings us as one in his hand. And that will be during the millennial reign, the beginning of his millennial reign here on the earth. All right? Yahawada was the name given to the southern kingdom, while the northern kingdom is named Yashua. The northern kingdom sometimes is called a whole house of Yashua, according to Ezekiel chapter 37 and 38. Also, it's called the children of Yashua in certain cases, or the version of Yashua. Same thing with Yahawada, the versions of Yahawada, or the versions of Lawai. That's part of Yahawada. And sometimes they're called the house of Yahawada. All right? But the name that they're given is Yahawada and Yashua. Now what sorry, my apologies. What Yochanan was witnessing was prophetic imagery in a vision, which is to be taken as spiritual, showing the woman, the southern kingdom, giving birth to the man-child who is Hamashiach. Now this prophetic imagery is like a snapshot, a picture. And within that picture, you can gather a lot of information. But it is not given to everyone to understand prophecy, whether it's prophetic imagery or whether it is a spoken prophecy. Why? Or parable. Because only those that have ears to hear and eyes to see and a heart to receive will understand the truth, will understand what Yochanan and all the different prophets are saying, or the visions that they've seen. Not everyone is meant to understand prophecy. And this is the problem that we have today. Many people call themselves prophets and whatnot, and they're out there giving false explanations, lies about the prophecies, and leading people down the wrong path, the path to destruction. You can only receive the revelation of prophecy through Ruach HaKadosh. Only through him, not through any other means or methods. Only through him. Let's look at verse 11. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And we've looked at that in our previous study called The Beast of the Book of Revelations, to explain what the 7 heads, the 10 horns, and the crowns all mean, because we know the crowns shift from the 7 heads to the horns after I believe it's chapter 13. Yes, chapter 13 of Revelation. Let's look at verse 12. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born, as soon as he was born. Now, this is the story of the birth of Hamashiach enacted with prophetic imagery. The great red dragon is a spiritual manifestation of Satan, having 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns on his heads. The southern kingdom was still living in their land, Yashraal, when Hamashiach was born. And it was during his time of birth that the red dragon attempted to capture him to kill him. The great red dragon, although was spiritually symbolic of a Satan, was also symbolic of an actual governing, controlling empire that was in power at that time, and it was the Roman Empire. Although we know that this red dragon is Satan, it meant that he was the puppet master behind that empire, behind the Roman Empire, directing them to do his wickedness. Now, the Roman Empire was not directly going after the man-child, but there was an affiliate who was going after him, and that was King Herod. King Herod was a part of the Roman Empire. Even though he was king over Yahweh at the time in the country of Yashraal, but he was placed there by the Roman Empire because he was a pawn of the Roman Empire. He was not for the people of Yahweh. He was for himself and for the Roman Empire. Now, this Roman Empire, the dragon, had 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns for its 7 heads. So we know that the 7 heads are 7 systems. I explained all of that in the study of the beast of the book of Revelation. And those 7 systems, they aid the dragon in controlling peoples and nations. The 10 horns are 10 kings, and the 7 crowns are for the 7 heads, giving the systems authority to carry out their agendas to control the people. So the crowns is the authority. The crowns gives the authority to wherever it's placed. So if the crowns are placed on the heads have the authority to do and carry out their wickedness. If it's placed upon the horns, which we know are kings, it gives them the power, the authority to carry out their evil, wicked agendas. When they have no crowns, that means they have no power from on high. And this power is given to them from on high, from the Most High. Ha'ola Yawan. He gives them the authority to carry out their wickedness, because their wickedness is part of the judgment sifting the earth. Even Yashraal, the 12 tribes. They can do nothing unless Ha'ola Yawan gives them the permission to do it. Gives them the authority to carry out their evil agendas. And that's why there will come a time when the crowns will be taken away, because he will take away all of his authority from them. And that's coming on to the very ending. All right. Now the dragon, all this is covered in another study called the Beast of the Book of Revelation. Now the dragon casts a third of the stars to the earth. Is prophetic imagery once again to help us to identify who this dragon is. Now this was one of the Satans who persuaded a third of the angels, who are stars, to follow him, and they were cast out of the upper heavens. So for a while they were living in second heaven, and on occasion they had to go and present themselves before Ha'ola Yawan to be given permission to carry out their evil duties on the earth. Now, all of this is what we are supposed to see at a glance to understand the vision and not to try to make it of our own imagination. Okay? And that's why people would go towards astronomy to try to figure out what Yawakanan saw when it has nothing to do with astronomy. No, it does not. All right? So let's look at Matthew chapter 2, which goes into the detail of when Yahushua was to be born and King Herod, who wanted to destroy him. Now, when Yahushua was born in Bethlehem of Yahwada in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Yahushua. So they came to the city of Yahushua, saying, where is he that is born, king of Yahwada? Now, Herod would have been a little traumatized because he is the king that is ruling. And you say you came from the east and you're looking for another king? I am the king here. For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. Now that star would have been an angel that presented it himself as a star to guide these wise men that came from the east. Verse 3, when Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled. Of course he was troubled. He was an insecure king because he was not put there because of his lineage. He was put there because the Roman Empire put him there. And all Yahushua with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of where Hamashiach should be born. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Yahwada, for it is written by the prophet. So the prophecy of Hamashiach coming upon the earth to live as a man was given way before he was born, or he was due to be born. And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Yahwada, are not the least among the princes of Yahwada, for out of you shall come a governor that shall rule my people Yashrael, all 12 tribes. Then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared, because he wants a time frame for when the star appeared so that he can gauge what age the child would have been by the time the star disappears, or by the time the wise men return to him. All right, he wants to know because it gives him an idea of the age group that the child would have fallen into, because he had an evil plan, and that evil plan was to kill him. And if he couldn't find him to kill him, well, he's going to kill all that were within that age group, from the time the star appeared, from the time the star disappeared. And because he didn't know when the star disappeared, he just covered it by a vague age group, all the children under the age of 2. Because according to what the wise men had told him, the star appeared 2 years previously. So these people, these wise men, came from far. They were following the star for 2 years. Now when Herod, read that already? So, and he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child, because at this point of time he was already born. Hamashiach was already born. That's why they called him a young child, not a baby. So he would have been a toddler at that time. And when you have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. So he knew that he was going to be born in Bethlehem, but he didn't know where in Bethlehem to look for this child that would have been about 2 years old. And when they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them. So the star appeared again, till it came and stood over where the young child was. So it guided them directly to the house of where the young child was living. And when they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy, because the star, once they landed in Jerusalem looking for the child, the star disappeared. After they left Jerusalem and headed towards Bethlehem, now they're back on the right track, the right path. The star appeared again, and this time to take them directly to the house. It stood right above the house where the young child, Yahushua or Hamashiach, was living. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mariam his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold, meaning that he was going to be king forever. That was symbolic of the gold. And frankincense, meaning that he was going to be the high priest forever. And myrrh, that is symbolic of suffering. He was going to be the lamb that was slain and became our eternal sacrifice. All right. So those were the three gifts that they brought him, which pointed to his purpose, why he was born as a man on this earth. He came to be king forever over the 12 tribes of Yashrael. And he also came to be our high priest forever after the order of Malachi Sadak, Melchizedek, as other people would call it, because it's a title, and our eternal sacrificial lamb. Verse 12, and being warned of Alahayam in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. They did not return to King Herod to let him know where the child was. They were obedient. And his mother, verse 13, and when they were departed, behold, the angel of Yahweh, the angel of Yahweh appeared to Yahusap, that's Joseph, in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Matzarayah, which is Egypt, and be you there until I bring you word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. So this is how Alahayam Yahweh preserved his son on the earth as a child. And he used Mariam and Yahusap, and they took him to Matzarayah. Our people always fled to Matzarayah when they were in trouble. That's where we came out of. Matzarayah. We were in bondage, and we came out of bondage from Matzarayah. Verse 15. And was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of Yahweh by the prophet, saying, out of Matzarayah have I called my son, out of Egypt have I called my son. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem, and in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. So when the wise men told him, when the star appeared, it was 2 years prior. And that's why he killed all the children from 2 years and under. Verse 17, then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, in Ramah was there a voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning. Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted, because they were not. King Herod destroyed many of our male baby boys to try to destroy Hamashiach. He did the same. They did the same thing when Masha was born. This devil, these Satans, all they want to do is destroy our men, children, and even our men today. Either get them to be effeminate or reject their own women to marry into other nations. There's been a huge attack because the men of Yashraal, well, let's deal with the southern kingdom because we are the ones that are greatly attacked today. But the men of the southern kingdom have been under great deception on many different levels. Great deception. If they're not caught up in lust or distracted by greed because they want to have great wealth, they're being shown another way to love, and it's an abomination. So their heads are kind of turned around for the most part. They're looking sideways and backwards, but they're not looking ahead, and they're certainly not looking up. The few of our men that have been awakened, many of our men that have been awakened, let me rephrase this, they are awakened into cults that call themselves Hebrew Israelite camps, where they despise women and they treat women like they're part of their furnishings in their homes. That's what a lot of them do, and that's how a lot of them feel. Now, there are a few that have respect for women, and that a woman, because she has a mouth on her face, she can speak. She is allowed to speak. And then there's a remnant that will be regathered by Ha'ola Yawan when he is ready to regather the southern kingdom. Those are the hidden ones. And thankfully we have those, because many of our brethren are lost on one thing or the other, whether it is in a cult that calls themselves a Hebrew Israelite camp, or they're lost away in a church, or they're lost away by marrying into other nations. There's been a huge attack on our men folk. A huge attack. Why? Because the seed comes from the man. The seed comes from the man. And I know without a shadow of doubt that there are a remnant of our men that are being groomed by Ruach HaKodesh to be men of Al-Hayah. Just like he's grooming women to be women of Al-Hayah. Not damaged, because a lot of our women folk are damaged. Just as the men are being persecuted and destroyed, so are the women. A lot of our women are damaged from one thing or the other. And they want to usurp the authority of a man. And they want to wear the pants and the skirt. I'm sorry to say this, but I see it. They want to have control over the man. That's not right. That's not correct. Just like the man should not be controlling his woman. The two become one. That's scriptural. He didn't say the man controls his wife or lord over his wife. The two become one. So in order to have one, you have a half and a half. Equal and balanced. But when we have an imbalance in a relationship, that's when you have dissatisfaction. That's when you have grievances, and we have all manner of evil feelings, negative feelings towards each other. But the family dynamics have been attacked for a very long time to keep us unbalanced. All right. Let's go on. So now that we know what the symbolisms are in the first part of this vision, when the woman with the man-child, and after the child was taken up to his throne, now we can prove that the man-child is Hamashiach. And the evidence in the following verse helps us to identify who he is. So if you look at verse 13, and she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. There's only one person who rules with a rod of iron, and that is Hamashiach. And her child was caught up onto Al-Hayam and to his throne. There's only one person that was caught up to his throne. Only one person. Not the bride of Christ, not the church, not the elect. No one but the child, no one but Yahweh, the son of Yahweh, called Hamashiach. Yahweh o Hamashiach. He was caught up to his throne, which is to be seated at the right hand of Ha'abba. Psalms 2, verse 7, I will declare the decree. Yahweh have said unto me, you are my son, speaking to Hamashiach. This day have I begotten you. Ask of me, and I shall give you the heathen for your inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for your possession. You shall break them with a rod of iron. You shall dash them in pieces like a potter's wheel. Sorry, a potter's vessel. So he's given him the rod of iron. That's his scepter, which he will break the heathen, the ones that are to claim a portion of our inheritance. They will be broken. They first have to be broken. That's why they got to go through all 21 judgments. Revelation chapter 2, verse 26, and this was the assembly of Thyatira. And he that overcomes and keeps my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers. And this is a reflection from Psalms 2, verse 7 to 9. So when we overcome, not just the assembly of Thyatira, but when we all of the 12 tribes are overcome, let me rephrase that. when we overcome the evil of the day and we walk in righteousness and in holiness, he gives us a rod of iron to rule with him. He said, and he will make us kings and priests. He will make us rulers and priests with him. Revelation chapter 19, verse 14. And this is when Hamashiach comes with the saints on white horses. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon the white horses, clothed in fine linen and white and clean. And out of his mouth goes a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. So he's coming to smite the nations on the earth, not his people, the Gentiles. To rule them with what? A rod of iron. And he treads the winepress of the fierceness and the wrath of Shaddai Alahayam, Almighty Alahayam. Hamashiach will rule with a rod of iron, which indicates strength and power and also hardness. This rod of iron is directed towards the heathen, the Gentile nations, not to his people. All right? This rod will be his scepter, with which he will share with the righteous remnant of Yashrael, who will be ruling on the earth with him. After Hamashiach's death and resurrection, he was caught up to his throne, to be seated on the right hand of his Abba. Mark chapter 16, verse 19. So then, after Adawan had spoken unto them, he was received up into heaven and sat on the right hand of Alahayam. Luke chapter 22, verse 67. Are you Hamashiach? Tell us. And he said unto them, if I tell you, you will not believe. And if I tell you, and if I also ask you, you will not answer me, nor let me go. Hereafter shall the Son of Man sit on the right hand of the power of Alahayam. So let's look at Obarai, book of Hebrew, chapter 12, verse 2. Looking unto Yahweh, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the stake, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of Alahayam. So there's only one person that's been spoken of, and this is just a few scriptures that we look at, precept upon precept, that proves that the Son of Man, Hamashiach, also the son of Alahayam, when he ascended on high, he went to sit on his throne, which is at the right hand of his Father, of Ha'abba. No one else has done this. Now these are just a few verses to prove that the man-child was Hamashiach and no one else. Many people are thinking that the man-child is the elect or the bride, which will be seated on the right hand of Ha'abba. This then would mean that this event has not taken place as yet, and it throws the prophecy out of order, rendering the event illogical. Doesn't make any sense. If you think that the man-child is anyone else but Hamashiach, you throw the prophecy and the order of events out of order, into disorder, into chaos. It has to be logical to prophecy and the revelation of prophecy, not necessarily to our minds. And so I'm not talking about being logical to your mind, I'm talking about logical in the sense of prophecy, the revelation of the prophecy. But this is the theology of the Christian church, which has infiltrated even within the doctrine of those who say that they are our brethren. The event of the woman with the man-child has taken place already more than 2,000 years ago. Hence, we are now awaiting for the woman to flee. So that's why this part of the prophecy is before the fact that she flees. Because he's helping us to understand who these elements or these symbolisms refer to. The woman referring to the southern kingdom, the man-child referring to Hamashiach. And once we have that idea in our heads, now we can look at the second part of this prophecy concerning the woman now. The child is gone. Now it's the woman. Verse 14, and there was war in heaven. Mayakaal and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceives the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Now there's a time lapse between the man-child taking his place on the right hand of Ha'aba and the war in heaven. The war in heaven did not happen right after Hamashiach rose again, was resurrected. Did not happen then. It happened recently. All right. This war has already taken place since 2019. It is for this reason why evil is so rampant on the earth today. Have you ever turned on and watched the latest of events going on in this world and wonder to yourself, how in the world are these things happening? These things that are happening could not have happened 15 years ago. And I'm being generous. 15 years ago, these things could not have happened. And yet today they're happening. And the so-called people that are in authority to prevent these things are happening, they are allowing these things to happen because they're part of it. They're endorsing it because they are a part of it. And they are part of Satan's crew. Now, if you are a Satanist, it's not a problem. You're not ashamed to show your face in public. I remember back in the day, the only time these Satanists would show their faces in public with their costumes on and whatnot would be on Halloween. I remember those days. And because of that, I refused to go out even at the nighttime during Halloween season. Because that's when all the ghouls came out. From other times of the year, the other months of the year, other days and weeks, you wouldn't see them really coming out maybe late at night when no one's on the street or streets. Because they have their little covens and little hidey holes where they gather together and do their worship. But not so today. It's common to see them walking around with their costumes and their symbolism, their symbols, using their hand signals. They don't have a problem showing their faces now because people are being desensitized. And what's happening even worse than that now, a lot of the young people are turning towards the worship of Satan. A lot of young people are turning towards the worship of Satan. When you have cartoons and television shows and social media, all these different things, means by which the devil can program the minds of young people, what else can we expect but for the young people to turn their backs on the Most High and to turn to worship Satan? For a long time, we have been programmed, even in my day. Because when I look at some of the cartoons, like Bugs Bunny and all the different ones, they were programming us. And you have Bugs Bunny dressed up like a woman to lure Elmer Fudd or to tease Elmer Fudd. When you see them doing that, that was programming us. And there are hidden symbolisms too that our natural eyes may not catch, but psychologically, unconsciously, that's the correct word, unconsciously, we grasp what we're seeing. Even some of the more modern, supposed to be family-friendly, child-friendly Disney shows, Disney movies, have a lot of symbolisms in there. They have that 3-letter word. I can't remember which one I saw it. Someone did a wonderful expose on it. The 3-letter word sex written throughout this particular Disney show, Disney movie, along with other elements, phallic elements, and all. Oh my goodness! When I saw it, I thought to myself, my goodness. And it's not only limited to cartoons or animation, but what about television shows? There's a lot of hidden demonic symbolisms in there that our natural mind may not be able, or because we see it and we kind of, it flashes before us so quickly, we don't see it. But our mind's eye see it. Our unconscious, or subconscious rather, sees it and grabs hold of it. And we don't understand why we're having these thoughts after watching this show. We don't understand why we're feeling fearful after watching this show. And this show had nothing to be fearful about or fearful of, because they've been programming us through their shows, through television, through social media. And it was a little harder for people of my generation and older, because for the most part, we prayed, we went to church, even though we didn't know what the church was all about. The Most High had us in a place where He wanted us. And the time that we spent in the church and the time we spent praying and reading the Bible was sufficient to keep us from being programmed. That's why they had to wait for the generation, like our parents and our grandparents, to die out. In the meantime, they were programming the next generation and the next generation after that, and the next generation. So what we're seeing is a generation that has not had the influence of the grandparents who were raised old school ways. Yeah, that generation. The generation that wants to be independent minded. They don't want their parents to tell them what to do. And the parents don't want to tell them what to do because the parents don't even know how to be parents. They were the ones that were told by their parents what to do, and they despised it. They hated the fact that they were told what to do. So they had in their minds that when we grow up and we have children, we are not going to tell our children what to do. We're going to give them free rein. And this is what's happening now. Free rein to do whatever they want to do. And spoiled because they didn't have to work hard for anything. And ungrateful because everything was handed to them on a silver platter by their parents. And that's why they are now drawn away from the truth and the light and into darkness and living in deception. And it's even worse now today because Satan has been cast out of the heavens. You got young children walking around. They're male children walking around dressed up like little girls. Talking about their identifying as female. They haven't even gone through puberty yet. You don't even know what it is to be a male, furthermore female. But these ones are influenced by the influencers that are out there who are satanic. And a lot of them now are regretted, but they're not going to put that out there. No. A lot of them that have gone to the extreme and removed certain body parts and taken whatever they can take by mouth or however else to help to change them. They're now regretting it and they're crying tears, but it's too late. You can't change back. You cannot return to who you were. And they want to blame this person, they want to blame that person. And to be honest with you, all the blame is not on them, but their parents. The parents have to take the bulk of the blame. Because if the parents were parents, they will raise their children a different way. But when you are living in sin and when you reject the Most High, you will live a lie. And you will pass those lies on to your children. And this is the result. Now we're going to have a generation of people that are neither male nor female. And they will not be able to procreate. And that's why we have the pods. The fake wombs. To bring forth more devilish children. This is how Satan is going to build his army. Because I'm telling you, the Most High is not going to endorse an artificial womb. No, he's not. He's not going to endorse it one bit. So anything that comes out of it is going to be possessed by an evil spirit. And all of this technology only started to come to front in the last few years. Since that big DEVOC, spell it backwards, came about. That's 2019. December of 2019 to be exact. No other time in history has there been this much wickedness on the earth. It is worse than the days of Noah and the days of Lot, and their days combined still are not as wicked as the present time. It's so dark out there. Yet it will grow even darker and more wicked. We have not seen anything yet, and thankfully for us, the Southern Kingdom will be out of here before we see how truly evil and wicked people can become. Michael, the archangel who is prince over Yashrael and his angels, will war against Satan and his fallen angels, and Satan will lose. Their place in second heaven will be shut off, and they will not be permitted in the heavens before Ha'aba anymore. So this is it. They're cast out of the heavenly realm. That's why the angels say, woe to the inhabitants of the earth. Now they are here, roaming the earth for about 3 years now, wreaking havoc and great evil. The start of the Devok pandemic was the introduction to the gross evil that was released on the earth. That's the beginning. That's when they were cast down. Since that period of time, there has never been a time in history where the entire world was in sync with the agendas of the elite minority. Suddenly, everyone falls under the control of a certain entity that is being ruled by these Satans and the fallen angels. And despite protests of all kinds, doesn't matter how many people are protesting, who is protesting, how long they've been protesting, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. Doesn't change anything at all. It's as if they didn't protest at all. Look at what's going on in Paris. Do you think that that's going to change the outcome of what they're protesting against? No. But Satan loves that kind of chaos and confusion, so he doesn't care. He loves it when we protest and we start throwing Molotov cocktails, burning this, burning that. Remember, part of the prophecy is that cities will be burning. So I expect more of this to happen. This is just the beginning. Now, despite the protests of all kinds, plans and agendas are still being put in place to deprive us of our basic rights to live. They don't care. Because there's no one to stop them except Ha'ola Yawan, the highest. He's the only one that can stop them at this point of time. So no matter how many people rise up, no matter how many people get guns and all kind of artillery, it doesn't matter. They're still going to be able to control the people and the nations and the countries in this world. It's been given to them to do it until Hamashiach comes. Nothing or no one can stop this momentum of utter evil. Only Allah Hayam. Allah Hayam will allow them to run their course, as it is all part of prophecy. Prophecy must be fulfilled. So as evil as it is, we've got to bear with it. If you're of the southern kingdom, know that your days are numbered before you are taken off this earth. That is, if you believe in Hamashiach, if you are in covenant with Allah Hayam, you're obeying his commandments, walking in his laws and statutes. If you're doing all the things that he said to do, you don't have anything to worry about. Because our days of regathering is very close. It's near, even at hand. Until their time has ran out, we can only wait on Yahweh to deliver us out of this evil. So for the southern kingdom, we will be gone, but the northern kingdom, they too will have to go through some serious hardship to prove what's in their hearts, whether they're going to obey Allah Hayam or not, obey his commandments or not. But at the end of the day, Satan's steam is going to run out, and then the Most High is going to deal with him. Let's look at 17. verse 17 again. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of Allah and the power of his Mashiach, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Allah, that is Allah, day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. As Satan and his fallen angels are the accuser of Yashra'al, Hamashiach is our advocate before Ha'aba. He goes before before Ha'aba to intercede for us. So Satan was once our accuser, but Hamashiach is our eternal advocate. He has been interceding for us from the very beginning. So we do have someone who is greater than Satan and all his minions put together, the earthly ones and the spiritual ones, who can defeat him even with the sword in his mouth. But it's not time yet. But we need to bear up strong. We need to bear up under the persecution and know that we have someone in the heavenlies who is on our side, and that is Hamashiach, if you believe in him. And that's why I said in the previous study that if you do not believe in Hamashiach, you're going to have to deal with a lot of persecution that's coming. You're going to have to deal with a lot. Thankfully, Satan's days of accusing us are over, because he can't go before the Father anymore. Now his remaining days will be spent trying to bring the world under his dominion to worship him. So all Satan cares about now is to gather as many people as possible to worship him, because he knows that they will be rejected. So in order to get them to worship him, he wants to defile them as well. And how does he defile them? With the abomination that makes desolate. Please go look at that study I did. Abomination that makes desolate. He wants to convert us, transform us into, from the people that were created by Allah to a hybrid species. And that's what the toxon does. All right. And I covered this in the 4 seals, what the toxon is. You have to be very careful with this algorithm, because I've already received, they took down my video, one of my videos. So, okay, someone is feeling threatened, I guess. First, Yohanan, 1 John chapter 2, verse 1. My little children, these things I write unto you, that you sin not. And if any man sin, we have an advocate with Ha'aba, Yahushua or Hamashiach, the righteous. So we do have an advocate before the Father on our behalf. When we make a mistake, he's the one who goes before the Father and intercede on our behalf. When we repent, that's good. It's being rolled off of us. Our sins are cast into the sea of forgetfulness. It is because of the utter evil that is now unleashed on this earth that we will need strength to bear up until Hamashiach comes to deliver us into his kingdom. This will be our time of salvation, but our deliverance is hinged on one thing, and that is believing in Hamashiach. In order to be overcomers, we have to believe that Hamashiach is the Son of Allah, who came in the flesh, died, and rose again on the 3rd day. Because of what he did for us on the stake, we are atoned and then empowered by Ruach HaKodesh. It is through these spiritual processes that equip us to overcome evil. Our testimony of how we overcame helps us to be strengthened in our faith, which also helps to empower us. Without believing in Hamashiach as our Savior, we will be doomed for destruction. When we believe in Him, we will love Him and not our lives to try to preserve it in the face of adversity. Self-preservation comes from fear, the lack of faith in Hamashiach. Let's look at verse 19, the final verse. Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knows that he has but a short time. At this point of time, who is dwelling in the heavens? We have Yahweh, Hamashiach, Ruach HaKodesh, the elders, the angels, and the righteous dead. Remember, we have the martyrs underneath the altar. We also have those that are waiting in paradise. All of those people, all of those, don't want to really call them people because most of them are spirits, right? But they are located in the heavens, right? We know that Yahweh and Hamashiach, Ruach HaKodesh, the elders, the 24 elders, and some of the angels are in the 7th heaven. Then all the other angels are in the 5th, 6th heavens. And the righteous dead will be under the altar in heaven. Those are the martyrs. And then the other ones in paradise, which is another level in the heavens, because the heavens are made up of 7 levels. All right. So now the devil is locked off from the heavens, completely blocked. He cannot go any further than the dome. He can't even go above the dome. Underneath the dome is the 1st heaven. Above the dome is the 2nd heaven, and so on and so forth. So because he's locked off now, notice that he has all these different spacecrafts floating around like balloons and UFOs, whatever you have you. He's trying to penetrate the dome. It's always been the desire of the devil to try to penetrate the dome, to physically penetrate the dome, because he wants to infiltrate the heavens, but he can't. What is above us is harder than diamond. So when they send their rockets up, the Most High moves it, shifts it, and it makes an arc, and it lands in the sea. All these different things that you see happening in the upper atmospheres, they're trying to penetrate the dome. You see, they know better than a lot of people that this earth is not a spinning ball. They're the ones who sold us that story, sold us space travel, right? But that have been debunked in so many ways, it's not even funny. And yet people still believe that we're sitting or standing on a spinning ball in the middle of a ever-expanding universe. It's all a lie to keep us in bondage to deception, lies, and sin. So, and shortly, the southern kingdom will join others in the heavens. So along with the angels and Yahweh and Hamashiach and the righteous dead and those that were dead in Hamashiach, living in paradise right now, we, the southern kingdom, will be joining them to dwell in the heavens. Oh yeah, we're going to 3rd heaven. That's where he has kept the Garden of Odan. That's where it is. However, in the meanwhile, we'll have to endure the persecution that is coming. And Satan's wrath is already felt through the wickedness that's everywhere. Look at the wars and rumors of wars. Oh, I'm going to nuke you. Oh, no, I'm going to nuke you. All these things, the earthquakes are ramping up. We used to have, a certain amount of earthquakes in a year. Now we're having that same number possibly in a day. We used to have a certain number of earthquakes in a year, few hundred, I guess. Now we have that same number in a day. Even a larger number than just a few hundred. And the earthquakes are spanned worldwide. But these are to show you that the earth is also reacting to the evil that's on the earth. Getting ready for that great earthquake that will destroy technology and some of the people on the earth. Yeah, that's what's coming. And Satan knows that this is coming. So he's trying his best to somehow thwart his ending. Or, hey, if I'm going to go down, I'm going to take as many people with me as possible. So let me cause as much evil to spread on this earth like a cancer. The worst kind of cancer you can ever think about. The worst kind of disease that you can think about. Let me bring evil to corrupt as many people as possible so that I can bring them down with me. Now, thankfully, Satan's days will be numbered from this point onward. So when you see the fifth seal is opened, that will be the beginning of his countdown, the last 7 years of his existence on this earth. It will not take a generation for him to be punished, but in a matter of a few years, he will be destroyed and eternally destroyed. Yashraal, the southern kingdom, will bear the brunt of his wrath for now. But later, the northern kingdom will bear much more. It's coming for us. Remember, the woman will flee. What will cause her to flee? Something is coming after her. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to have to run for our lives. No, remember, this is prophetic imagery. But there's something that is going to cause us to literally leave behind all that we hold dear. Hopefully, we don't hold too much anything dear to ourselves. But it will cause us to want to get out of here. Just like our forefathers when they were in Goshen. When it was time to go, they were ready to go. So we will have that same mindset. When it is time for us to go, we will want to go. We won't even look back. We won't even be thinking about putting on a pair of shoes. We would just know it is time to get out of here. And I'm ready. And when we hear that trumpet call, we will be ready because our hearts were already prepared beforehand. And because we have severed ourselves from the desires of this earth, the delicacies of the system that was given to us, the things that we want to love and have, mortgage and marriage and children. I'm not saying these things are bad, but when we put them in high esteem over Ha'ola Yawan, then it becomes evil. So we're given to love these things and think that these things make us successful, make us people, make us happy. These things, when these things do none of the above. So when you can shed these things and your love for these things, that's when your heart is being prepared for the kingdom of heaven. Your heart is being prepared to go. You see, contrary to the northern kingdom, who will be taking their things with them, we will not be permitted to take anything with us except the clothes on our backs. We're not going to be allowed to take a bag or a purse or even a pair of shoes, like I've said before, just the clothes on our backs. Because everything that we need, he already has waiting for us. That's why it said that the woman, she has a place prepared for her where she'll be nurtured for a time, times, and half a time, times two. Yasha'al, the southern kingdom, will bear the brunt of his wrath. For now, I think I read that, but later, the northern kingdom will bear much more. Praises to Ha'ola Yawan, that's the highest, or the most high, who will shorten the days for our sakes and for the sake of the few righteous Gentiles. There will be some Gentiles whose hearts will turn to Ha'ola Yawan to serve him and his people. So for their sakes, as well as for the northern kingdom, he's going to shorten the days. He's going to shorten time. Because evil, we thought that we have seen it all before, but the evil that is coming is nothing that we've ever seen or heard of before all the days of our lives, or even in the past. Nothing in the past can equal the evil that is coming. This evil is going to surpass all the evil times of this earth, even combined together. It's going to be so dark. You're going to have people literally ripping into other people. Literally ripping into them, killing them, destroying. They're going to be destroying one another. All at the pleasure of Satan or the Satans. Why? Because they will be programmed to do so. They're no longer people. They're now another kind of species that is controlled. And even after technology is destroyed, you're still going to have evil on this earth. It's not going to go away just yet. So there's a lot of death and destruction that is coming. And that's why I've said this in a previous lesson, that if your hearts aren't right before the Most High, get it right. Because if you don't get out of here, you're doomed for destruction. If you don't get your hearts right to get out of here, speaking to the southern kingdom, if you do not get out when he sends his chariots, you are doomed for destruction. It means that you will not change your mind after the fact. If you don't have faith now, how can you have faith later? Faith does not come by seeing. Faith comes by what? Hearing the word of Allah Hayam. Not only hearing, but understanding and knowing the word of Allah Hayam. Because if faith came by seeing, our forefathers would have believed, would they not? But they did not believe because they had no faith. So everything that we're going through right now is to build our faith so that we will believe in Hamashiach and walk in his commandments. Be in covenant with him. Because once we are in covenant with him, now we can be regathered, because he's only collecting those that are in covenant with him. So, without further ado, this is the ending of chapter 6. We'll be starting chapter 7 soon. And that will have to do with the regathering of the southern kingdom. The regathering of the southern kingdom. I have a feeling it's going to be in 2 parts, because it is including the woman when she flees from the dragon. But before that, it talks about the harvest. All right. So let me just finish off with the blessing for Yashua, the southern and the northern kingdom, from Devar Hayam, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse 24 to 26. Ya Barakak Yahweh wa Yashamarak. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. Ya Ar Yahweh panayo alayak wa yachanak. May Yahweh cause his face to shine upon you and have favor on you. Yasha'ar Yahweh panayo alayak wa yasham la shalom. May Yahweh lift up his face upon you and give you peace. And I say, Shalom, Shalom, all praises to the Most High. Abaya.